the United States Special Forces have formally entered Israel. The Israeli army has tightened the circle, destroying over 250 Hamas sites, and the Iron Sword's ground operation has officially commenced. The first incursion into Gaza has occurred, and the region is witnessing some of the bloodiest confrontations in its history. Terrorists from Hamas have been identified one by one in Gaza neighborhoods. The Israeli army began an all-out onslaught that night, using both naval, land, and air forces. The operation, however, is not restricted to Palestine. Israel is attacking terrorist groups in Egypt, Lebanon, and Palestine at the same time. Hundreds of front lines have appeared, and the sound of explosives continues unabated. Israel's defense minister has now authorized the attack. "I've removed all limitations. We're going all out." The following are the most relevant front and operation news stories from the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Without further ado, let us make a rapid entry into the schedule with our first piece of news. Israeli forces worked in unison to demolish all terror organizations in Gaza. First, Israeli warplanes and missile units attacked over 250 different Hamas targets in short succession. The ground forces moved in with tanks, armored vehicles, and soldiers once the first supply of terror organizations was disrupted. As the blasts proceeded, the first skirmishes erupted in the Al-Shujaa area near the Israeli border and in Malka, east of the city. With artillery fire, Israeli forces rapidly pushed through the boundary. Hundreds of artillery and rocket attacks stunned Hamas militants. Meanwhile, an offensive against Israeli forces has begun in Al-Shujaa. This is what Hamas intends to do in order to pull Israeli forces into the town and close the power disparity. However, the missile, rocket, and artillery attacks have already shattered Hamas' hopes. The eastern section of town is totally under Israeli control, following the establishment of a safe zone by Israeli forces. The key announcement was made by Israel's defense minister. The first point was violated. "I've removed all limitations. Allow the all-out assault to begin." Shortly after the statement, Israeli airplanes began bombing the Gaza Strip's coastline sector. It is well known that Iranian-backed terrorist groups have been assaulting and deploying gunboats along the coast. Israeli airplanes targeted the whole coastline strip, destroying dozens of terrorist organizations' depots and gunboats. According to the defense minister, Israeli ground forces have begun a significant offensive on the Ashkelon line. While the air defense systems remain operational, Hamas militants have launched rocket attacks on Ashkelon. Ground forces in Israel launched an offensive to progressively clear Ashkelon and its environs. Israeli forces move closer to the Zikim area. According to intelligence, 110 Hamas fighters are advancing around 5 kilometers outside Zikim center. The Israeli army was stationed near Highway 3411 and had prepared a spectacular welcome surprise for the insurgents. As the insurgents attempted to advance fast on the center with their battle vehicles, Israeli soldiers and armored vehicles launched a huge onslaught from two places on the route. Man-pads and anti-tank rockets were used in the attacks. The initial attack destroyed nearly all of the vehicles in the extended column of Hamas fighters. The few militants who survived the first attack got out of their vehicles and attempted to take positions in the area, but Israeli soldiers moved from 2 points on the highway, crossfired on the militants, and destroyed them all, with the Israeli army destroying Hamas militants. One after additional members of the Hezbollah terrorist group operating in Egypt and Lebanon announced their intent to act. However, the Israeli Air Force reacted quickly. Before the Hezbollah terrorist organization's spokesperson's statements ended, Hezbollah camps near the Rafah border crossing began to be targeted. In the process of reducing 8 Hezbollah gathering locations to ashes, the battle with Hezbollah formally began. Following the conclusion of their missions, Israeli airplanes started the second big attack on Hezbollah camps in the Al-Mari and Sheba plains. 11 massive strikes were carried out in total, and the terrorist organizations were fully eradicated from the region. After Egypt attacked, helicopters of the Israeli army took action at the same time. Attack helicopters damaged the Hezbollah observation center in the Avivim region of Lebanon. The second significant attack targeted militants in Lebanon. The attack resulted in the deaths of 16 militants. Following the destruction of the observation tower, the helicopters moved on to their next target. A second, far more destructive strike was undertaken against the Hezbollah military base in the southeast Aviv area. A militant munitions stockpile was struck in the region where massive explosions occurred. The munitions storage was chosen to maximize the intensity of the attack. The ammo storage exploded as a result of the strike, and 42 members of the Hezbollah terrorist organization were killed. At one point, this was maybe the most important event in the region. The United States carried it out. We know that the U.S. aircraft carrier was stationed near the Lebanese border. Meanwhile, special forces from the United States arrived on Israeli territory in gunboats. Special forces personnel have completely closed off every possible point of attack by Hezbollah. In addition, an aircraft carrier patrols the area as a precaution against a prospective attack. If Hezbollah attempts to conduct a mass strike from the area, the aircraft carrier will destroy them from the sea. In this manner, Israel's territory will be shielded against foreign attacks. Meanwhile, the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier strike brigade, with its 8 squadrons of attack and fighter planes, is obviously defending Israeli land. On high alert, Hezbollah militants in Lebanon attempted to retaliate against the Israeli attacks. Approximately 240 homemade rockets were fired into Israeli territory from Lebanon. The Iron Dome air defense system was able to stop almost all of the attacks. It was discovered that unstoppable rockets fell on unoccupied fields and agricultural areas. For this reason, militant groups were expected to conduct an attack from Lebanon. Israeli artillery units fired around 150 rounds from long-range artillery weapons at Hamas rocket units in Lebanese territory. We shift our gaze immediately to Gaza's southern border. Israeli airplanes and missile units have begun operations. A barrage of assaults. Israeli soldiers have formally neutralized Hamas Political Bureau members Zakaria Muammar and Jawad Abu Shamallah. Meanwhile, Israeli ground forces have advanced their clearing operations towards Gaza's south. With a party of 15 individuals, Israeli forces conducted an infiltration operation near Al-Maghazi. A Hamas headquarters near the town was struck by Israeli soldiers. The rocket team launched the initial attack, destroying the headquarters. Later, a group of Israeli special forces assaulted the location and cleansed the area of 21 more Hamas terrorists. As we can see, several Israeli locations were targeted on the first day of attacks as a result of Iran's years of cooperation. But what Iran didn't comprehend was that they were awaking the sleeping lion. As I indicated at the start of this video, Israeli forces launched what is likely to be the largest operation in the region's history. Every port of entry and every hiding location of a terrorist group will be destroyed from now on. These activities will not be restricted to destroying terrorist organizations such as Hamas and Hezbollah. Syria and Iran are the primary hotspots. Israel's efforts will be so comprehensive that every terrorist training facility will be attacked. The Israeli Air Force, in particular, has taken extensive precautions against any Iranian attack. The Israeli Air Force has upgraded its F-35 fighter jets in preparation for a large Iranian attack. Israel and Iran are located relatively far apart. As a result, the F-35S's fuel issues had to be addressed. The Israeli F-35 fighter jets are known to be stealthy. As a result, refueling the F-35 fighter jets with a fuel plane near the Iranian border is difficult. Iranian radars can spot the fighter jets and the fuel plane throughout this process. As a result, the Israeli Air Force increased the fuel tanks 3 times without affecting the fighter jets' dynamic basis. Following this, the fighter jets will be able to directly destroy every terrorist training ground in Tehran. As I previously stated, Iran has committed a tremendous error that it will soon recognize. Tensions between Israel and Palestine are at an all-time high, and we've reached the end of another video. The battle on Ukrainian land is likely to last for a long time in order to maintain regional stability and prevent more people from being affected. We hope that Ukraine will be successful on the front lines and will be in a better position at the bargaining table. We will continue to provide you with timely and accurate information about developments in the coming hours. We will continue to present the events objectively to you. You may help us by liking the videos. You can also subscribe to the channel to keep up with new videos. I wish you all a wonderful day and hope to see you soon.